Saturday night. That means it's time for the Don Tony Show.
The wait all week long is finally over. Get Don Tony's perspective on current affairs in the world of pro wrestling and much more. The Don Tony Show.
And now your host, the man, the legend, Don Tony.
All right, I know that intro still says Saturday night. I haven't had a chance to update them yet. I don't think that's a priority for much of you out there either, but I want to welcome everyone. It is October 15th, 2022. The Don Tony Show, live. Right now it is about 11:05 a.m. here in New York. I think today we're going to have a high of 70 degrees. Pretty cool, pretty cool. Don't mind the background over there. I had a disaster Thursday. Didn't even know it happened, but a little piece of advice. I know I've said this before, but if any of you out there are ever going to make a backdrop like mine, whether you do a show or you just do it just for the hell of it, you put up pictures or a poster board, please don't make this mistake. Don't make this mistake. Yeah, this was one of my Mike Tyson photos. That was always in the corner. AJ Moore, big shout out to him. Great artist. But, yeah, when I first set this place up 2+ years ago, I saw all these people online. Oh, command strips. It doesn't screw up your wall, command strips. And, yeah, that for a temporary, that's okay. But eventually it all comes tumbling down. And when you have the posters attached to, the cardboard backdrops and the cardboard comes down, disaster. Believe it or not, I've been wanting to put this up for the longest time. I've been wanting to put this up, so maybe we'll do that. I don't have to use command strips for it. We'll see. But, yeah, piece of advice, don't ever use command strips. I don't care what they advertise, eventually they come down. I'm looking at my wall right now, and when I first started also, I had my entire wall covered in soundproofing because I didn't want the people next door or upstairs to get pissed, especially when I do shows late. I'm looking at hundreds, well, maybe not hundreds, but probably 100 command strips all exposed. Because as time goes by, one of these square cubes, they go tumbling down and mess. If I'm a little bit overly energetic this morning, I am up to my second cup of coffee, and I just downed one of these energy cookies. It's 180 milligrams per serving, which is a half a cookie, and I ate the whole cookie because I'm hungry. So between 2 cups of coffee and the energy cookie, just think Animal from the Muppets, and that's kind of how I feel right now. Do you remember Wednesday? Remember when I showed you the tortilla challenge that Cora Jade and Braun Breaker did, and I did it with the license plate to the head? I don't know if you could see it. My whole bridge of my nose Thursday morning and yesterday was black and blue. There's a little bump over here, and it's still a little bit of a mark. Do not ever be goofy while wearing a pair of glasses. So, not good. All right. This is not what you're here for. Let's do this episode. Let's talk Bray Wyatt. Let's talk the little teaser. Are we going to get Uncle Howdy versus Uncle Harper? Yeah, something that we haven't really heard much of anybody talk about yet, because the people haven't cut and pasted. Once they cut and pasted, everybody will talk about it. Yesterday we had Bray Wyatt appearing on SmackDown. Will he be regulated just to SmackDown? I want to say yes, but right now you're going to see him on Raw as well. Maybe not always live, like Roman Reigns. You really look at it, Roman Reigns feels like a SmackDown wrestler, even though he has not only the Universal Championship, but the WWE Championship. Look, the TV deal with Fox, I don't want to say it's more important than the USA Network, but Bray Wyatt right now, it's very interesting to see where they're going with this. Now, we've talked about this before. And, this really has to do with Wyatt6. I attempted to do one of those, where images start vanishing away. I attempted. I don't think I did that great of a job. That looks like kindergarten level, but I think you get the point of what I was trying to show. I actually read Dave Meltzer's newsletter because I'm a subscriber. And in his newsletter yesterday, he brings up that the leading candidates for Huskus the Pig is Joe Gacy, Mercy the Buzzard is Grayson Waller, Alexa Bliss is Sister Abigail, Eric Rowan is Ramblin' Rabbit, and Bo Dallas is the Fiend. Now, other than Eric Rowan and Alexa Bliss, what the fuck is the logic there? Grayson Waller is like a like a Vanilla Ice. I almost said John Cena. Well, who was also kind of like a Vanilla Ice ripoff early on. Where's the logic there? Seriously. All you have read for the last bunch of weeks, Wyatt6 Faction Revealed, Wyatt6 Faction Debuted, Wyatt6 Faction Coming. They could clickbait you. They can fantasize it. They could wish it. They could insist that that's what's coming. I've said all along that those characters, and I said it the night of the premium live event, Extreme Rules, those characters represented the past of Bray Wyatt. This was not a new faction. Those costumes obviously are not meant to be worn on a weekly basis. They're not going to wrestle in them. What are you going to do? Oh, let me undress my big Huskus outfit. Why? Because Grayson Waller's physique? Yeah, Grayson Waller may have dressed up that night as Mercy the Buzzard. And maybe the shirt kind of like fits his look. But, you know what sucks about all of this? This is my point about addressing all of these shows, dirt sheets, websites. What you have to understand is when you have a huge following, you're talking hundreds of thousands of subscribers, hundreds of thousands of followers, hundreds of thousands of viewers. What you say means something. Even if you're the biggest dope out there, what you say means something. And when you say something that you know is factually untrue, or there is nothing to substantiate it, and you just push it and push it and push it and push it and push it, all of your subscribers, all of your followers are going to push the same narrative. And when you say it long enough, it appears to be true. Just like WWE trying to erase Triple H's legacy, and Keith Lee, Vince McMahon had nothing for him. Meanwhile, he's fighting on his deathbed. There are so many examples you could throw out there. The Judgment Day, WWE kicked Edge out of Judgment Day because they wanted to go supernatural and he didn't. You could just go on and on and on with this stuff. So you put it out there and people copy it. You get these tiny little podcasters. You get these tiny little wannabe journalists. They're the ones who fancies themselves as journalists. And they copy what you say. And the next thing you know, everywhere, Wyatt6 Faction Revealed. As I said all along, Wyatt6 is not going to be a faction with those people that we just mentioned. Hell, I heard if Bo Dallas returns, that they're considering him more to work in the office than anything else. So the big question is, what are they actually going to do with Bray Wyatt? And we talked about that the night of Extreme Rules. Okay, Bray Wyatt is back. Now what? And I'm going to piggyback off of this. Giuseppe, yes, I fixed the super chats, by the way. Thank you for the 10 spot, my friend. He says, good morning. Props for nailing the Bray Wyatt and Wyatt6. I'm excited for what will come. but who does he actually feud with? Bray Wyatt, right now, for the foreseeable future, is going to feud with himself. Wyatt6 is 6 personalities of Bray Wyatt. As I prefer to call it, the 6 Shades of Bray. That's really what it is. When we got his appearance yesterday on SmackDown, when he was emotional and teary-eyed, that was Wyndham. That was not a Bray Wyatt character. But that is the opening of the storyline. You know, if you look in the past, even when Bray Wyatt was feuding with John Cena, even the early days of Bray Wyatt would struggle. He would struggle with his inner thoughts, his mind. You know, he wanted to be the leader, and at the same time, damned everyone. Do you remember when we saw those vignettes with the shirt, "Who killed the world?" You did. Do you remember all of those teasing? That was not to give us hugs and kumbayas. That was putting us down, criticizing us. Who killed the world? Who killed him? You did. I did. We all did. You got to listen to the messages and not just report it as a recap. You got to actually let it sink in a little bit. So Bray Wyatt coming out yesterday and showing the tears and everything that he talked about, that was real. That was real. He said that he didn't know if they could read it on him, but he's incredibly grateful and nervous to be there yesterday. He said this is him. This is a version of himself that he never got to introduce us. That is real. That is also part of the storyline. He talked about the 2 people who were very, very close to him that are no longer around, that they are gone. He thought that everything he did didn't matter to everyone, and he was wrong. He thanked the people. He thanked everybody out there. And he said that he lost himself. He lost his confidence. He said when people would say, "Thank you, Bray, you know, thank you for helping me, you know, for the dark areas," you know, that was all real. But that is the opening of the storyline. That's the opening of the storyline, because Bray Wyatt, as we said, when you think back to the John Cena days and even earlier, Bray Wyatt would struggle with his inner thoughts. Look at his last character. You had Firefly Fun House Bray Wyatt wearing the sweater, happy, doing funny skits, the gym, stuff like that. Yowie, wowie. And then you had this maniac, and it was a battle within. This is the new battle. This is Wyndham versus what you saw yesterday, because as Bray was talking, and yes, they kind of ran out of time. I know some markets, they cut off in the middle of his promo. Hey, shit happens. You know, it's not a pay-per-view. This isn't Goldberg versus Diamond Dallas Page. But that inner demon, Uncle Howdy, that mask, that evilness, that is his mind on the Titantron. That's his ulterior mind trying to get through. Fuck this Wyndham. Fuck the tears. What are you doing? Bray Wyatt right now is feuding with Bray Wyatt. And when you look at everything that is left up to now, it is another 2 areas of his mind. Now, could we get all 6 at some points? Absolutely. Why not? Why not? That Bray with the Wyatt family is my favorite version of Bray. That doesn't mean that Firefly Funhouse didn't have some fun moments. Doesn't mean the Fiend didn't have some fun moments. But if the Fiend was Bray Wyatt, in his mind. Tell me the logic of Bo Dallas coming out there dressed as the Fiend. It makes no fucking sense. Now, this is beautiful, creative, and now, as I said at the beginning of the show, Uncle Howdy versus Uncle Harper. What's that all about? Not going to say the websites. A week ago, WWE trademarked Uncle Howdy, Uncle Harper. Now, obviously, Harper, that was Luke Harper's name, who you knew is Brody Lee, and he passed, obviously. And a week ago, there's a couple of news sites out there that said Uncle Howdy and Uncle Harper are going to be the new names for Brooks and Jensen because they wrestled on main event. I don't know why I still have heat on the brain. Main event last week, and they beat R-Truth and Dick Shelton Benjamin. And no, it's not for Brooks and Jensen. Uncle Howdy looks like all points are that mask you're seeing on the screen. And Uncle Harper might be that good part of him, that real part of him. Do I think a person could play Uncle Harper? If it has to do with Luke Harper, no one should ever play that person. It could be a caricature, a mask, something you see on the Titantron. It's not always going to be this evil Uncle Howdy, on the screen. You might see Uncle Harper, which might be softer, and it's trying to get through Bray Wyatt's mind. The only problem with all of this, and again, this goes back to what we talked about the night of Extreme Rules. If this is going to be the storyline with Bray Wyatt, and creatively so far, it's beautiful. When does he wrestle? Who does he wrestle? Who does he feud with? Who is going to take him out or try to take him out? Who is he going to try to take out? So this is something, you really have to think about because Bray Wyatt, let's all be honest, people who are really into the wrestling side of things, pure wrestling and in-ring work rate, if you want to call it that, they're not the biggest fans of Bray Wyatt. Now, Bray Wyatt, creatively in his mind, is awesome. I don't know if Bray Wyatt spent a lot of this time trying to own his wrestling skills and turn into some, person who could work a 20-minute match. This is more psychological. And look, for some wrestlers, that's all you need. Early on, back in the day with The Undertaker, obviously as years went by, he, doing dives off of the, over the top ropes and, doing some of the other stuff. He really, really upped his game. But when he first wrestled for a couple of years, it was basically just never leave your feet. Every time you go, or if you do end up on the floor, your body slammed, you always get up. He didn't have to do that much on defense. It was almost like watching a video game. Hulk Hogan, you see him wrestle in Japan, you'd be surprised what he could do. But that's not what fans wanted to see in the United States or, the outside of Japan. So Bray Wyatt being brought back, and it's more about storyline, character, supernatural, reality, that's all great and everything. But how much of it is actually going to be wrestling? That's something you got to really think about. So yesterday's skit, his promo was excellent, but where it leads from here, continued battle. Right now, I think all points are Bray Wyatt is going to feud with Bray Wyatt. So let's see where it goes. I'm a big Bray Wyatt fan, as I have said. Bought more merchandise of Bray Wyatt over the years, the last 10 years, than anyone else. Not even close. Not even close. Now, we had some fun yesterday with Bray Wyatt. Now, I want to tell everyone this was not intentional on WWE's part. At the beginning of SmackDown yesterday, they showed this teaser. Bray Wyatt returns up next. This was right at the beginning of SmackDown. Later on the show, they showed this. Bray Wyatt, return of Bray Wyatt tonight. And as the show went on, and you saw it yesterday, people are losing their shit, their balls in a bunch. WWE, why do you keep teasing us? I thought it was funny. It reminded me of Veer Mahan. He's coming. He's coming. Well, he was supposed to open up the show. He was supposed to come out next. They're lying throughout the show. You know, they showed the return at Extreme Rules, and people thought that's it. So he's not going to be here in person. You know, just have a chill pill, everyone. Why is it that you have? I have it. I have it. I must have it now. Wait, what's that commercial? I have a cash settlement and I need cash now. You know, I got to call JP Wentworth. I've got a structured settlement and I need cash now. I'm a wrestling guy. I need Bray now. Get the fuck up. I don't care what time it is. If it closes out the show, big deal. Big fucking deal. So, in reality, while everybody thought that WWE was trolling the universe yesterday, what happened was simple. They aired the clip out of place. Somebody mistakenly put this screenshot at the beginning of SmackDown when they were supposed to put this screenshot. That's all that happened. That's all that happened. In the end, we got Bray Wyatt, and that's all that matters. So, I never thought we would talk about J.G. Wentworth. So look, as far as this Wyatt6 faction, it was a little controversy yesterday too. Liv Morgan, okay? Now, I don't know if you could really see it in this clip. Let me see if I could pause it. Okay. Actually, you can. I hope I don't screw up my video by doing this. Okay. You see right near the center of the screen? Can you see it? Can you see it? There's the Bray Wyatt logo. The moth. See it on that box? Now, the funny thing is, goofs online are saying, oh, that's somebody under a hood on the right. You see where that yellow line is? People are actually saying, oh, no, that's somebody under a hood. That's Sister Abigail. So they're trying to push this clickbait now that's actually, those symbols are there for Liv Morgan, because Liv Morgan is moving to the dark side. Moving to the dark side. We could have had Doudrop and Nikki ASH arguing in the back, and that logo would have been there. They're doing it for advertisement. Had nothing to do with Liv Morgan. But Liv Morgan yesterday starting to take it to the extreme. Boom. And she loving it. She's loving it. Liv Morgan trying to sacrifice her body for us, trying to get a little bit extra extreme, try to win the fans over. Listen, I'm enjoying it. And this is going to lead to her having a match with Sonya Deville next week. Sonya Deville made fun of Liv. Liv snapped, put her through a table. Good. This is a little bit more edgier. WWE. No, it's not TV 14. But I wanted to throw that out there because people are now trying to clickbait. Like, oh my God, look, the logo is in the back and it transformed Liv Morgan and now she's turning extreme and she's going to go to the bad side. Oh, shut up. Shut up. Especially when you have big channels and big sites. You say shit like that and everybody copies it. And then it ends up not being true. But Liv Morgan, pretty cool yesterday. Pretty cool yesterday. If you didn't realize this already, here's another match that is likely for Crown Jewel. Omos versus Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman yesterday having a handicap match And who was his opponents? Brian Thomas and James Maverick. And during the match, Omos and MVP are in attendance. And they are basically calling out Braun Strowman. You know, Braun Strowman might be the monster amongst monsters, but next to Omos, he's just a regular person. So this match is likely going to go down. It'll probably be Crown Jewel. I like it. I like it. You know, Omos is still very, very green, very new. You know, it's going to take years. You know, when you're that big, you know, it's not easy to navigate and put it all together. You know, look at the Big Show when he was the Giant in the middle 90s. Go watch his work back then. And many times you'd be like, you know, as time went on, he got better and better and better. By the way, speaking of Giants, Monday, we're going to give out this great Kali WWE Select card, and we're also going to give out, we're going to give away, doesn't want to leave me, this Reggie card. So somebody Monday is going to win this Reggie and Great Kali card. You think I was being serious? Who the fuck wants that? Who the fuck wants that? But Omos versus Braun Strowman, most likely for Crown Jewel. Now, could we be getting a rematch between Drew McIntyre and Karrion Kross at Crown Jewel as well? It is possible. Yesterday on SmackDown, we had a little bit of a storyline. Something that I noticed. I don't know if you picked up on this yesterday. You know, yesterday we were supposed to have this four-way to determine the new number one contender for GUNTHER. GUNTHER. It was going to be Ricochet, Sheamus, Karrion Kross, and Solo Sikoa. I think everybody out there was betting on Solo Sikoa. I think more because he's the only one without gold right now, other than Sami Zayn. And they want to put some gold on Solo Sikoa, but we had a little bit of a swerve yesterday. Now, I can't show you all of it. I could show you maybe like two little clips. But at the beginning of SmackDown, we saw this, okay? A truck hit Karrion Kross's car. Now, they didn't show the actual collision because, you know, no disrespect, you know, intended, but these cars cost a lot of money. WWE is not going to do some high impact shit that could possibly cause a lot more damage. You know, you dent up some areas where you don't damage the chassis. You don't damage other aspects internally inside the, you know, behind the car, the areas you don't see, visually. And then you add a little bit of, you know, smoke and this and that, and then it looks like a good collision. You know, and it was interesting because why did the driver's side tire get all shredded on the truck? You know, but anyway, you see this and, you know, we're looking at the cars and, all right, truck hit Karrion Kross. Now, we saw Drew McIntyre come out and beat the balls out of Karrion Kross. Was just smashed him against. The segment was awesome, but I want you to take notice of something. I don't know if you picked up on it yesterday. Okay, they're circling around the car. All right, and Karrion Kross is shown being treated. Okay, there you go. There's Karrion Kross. He's being treated. Truck just hit his car. Are you okay? Now, pay attention all the way in the back of this picture where the garage is. Take a look all the way in the back. Okay, see that all the way back there? You might not be able to see it yet, but it appears Drew McIntyre was not driving that truck. Everybody thought that Drew McIntyre intentionally drove his truck into Karrion Kross. Well, if that is the case, how is Drew McIntyre all the way back there? See him? There he comes. There he comes. Yeah. I mean, you know, anything, you know, WWE, anything can be possible. But he just beats the balls off of Karrion Kross. Just destroys him. Destroys him. So we're not going to show anymore because I don't want any copyright issues. The bottom line is Karrion Kross laying there, almost dead. And I think this may lead to a rematch at Crown Jewel. We got a couple of behemoths, battling. You got Omos and Braun Strowman and maybe Drew McIntyre and Karrion Kross, plus Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley. It's like Clash of the Titans, possibly for Crown Jewel. Yes, that's a good point, Rams fan. Karrion Kross got seriously injured, but Scarlett had no injuries whatsoever. Maybe Scarlett was wearing her seatbelt and Karrion Kross wasn't. Kross, you're supposed to wear your goddamn seatbelt. Maybe she wasn't in the car. I don't know. Maybe she wasn't in the car. But so Karrion Kross, for all intents and purposes, is no longer going to be in this match. Now, the question is, who replaces Karrion Kross? I thought maybe Drew McIntyre. Maybe Drew McIntyre does. Why not? Well, this ended up happening. Triple H will not always be an on-air character, but they're not going the GM route right now. Now, keep the GM thought in the back of your mind. When we talk about Saraya in a little bit with GM stuff. But Triple H, when needed, will be appearing on WWE television, just like Shawn Michaels, when needed, will appear on NXT television. It's not going to happen every week, but Triple H is shown backstage, more concerned about what happened with Kross, and Rey Mysterio shows up. Rey Mysterio tells Triple H, because of what's going on with his son, he quits. Triple H does not want to hear that. He invites Rey Mysterio into his office to discuss this. Obviously, Triple H made an offer he couldn't refuse. And what ended up happening was Rey Mysterio ended up being the replacement for Karrion Kross in that match, and Rey Mysterio would win that match. Now, the match itself was excellent. It was excellent. Seeing Rey and Ricochet go at it gave me Lucha Underground vibes a little bit. But a little tidbit that I wanted to share with you that I posted yesterday, but, especially with social media, unless you post it yourself, nobody gives a fuck about it. They don't want to give credit for other people. But something that I was curious, I wanted to go back and see, how many times Rey Mysterio wrestled Sheamus in the past. Because, one thing that we joke about with Rey Mysterio is our guilty pleasure of him getting beat up. We talked about it even last week. Dominic beating up Rey and him crying and his eyeball getting ripped out from Seth Rollins and him crying and him getting the fuck beat out of him by Batista and him crying. Rey Mysterio over the years has gotten the shit knocked out of him and he's crying and crying and crying. So I don't remember Sheamus doing this to Rey, 10 times, 20 times. Because I would think, and look, I love Rey Mysterio. I'm just having some fun right now. I would think that I would remember in my lifetime when Sheamus would hit him one where he would go, ah, 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 ah. That's my Rey Mysterio impersonation. I don't remember ever seeing that. Well, guess what? Before yesterday, the last time Rey Mysterio and Sheamus went at it was this. A toy. WWE Power Slammers by Mattel. Crank them up, connect them, battle them. Yeah, they did a toy of Sheamus versus Rey Mysterio, but they never fought in the ring. I was kind of surprised by that. But Rey wins the match yesterday. And if you want to stay on that lighthearted level with Rey, did you just imagine when Gunther chops that motherfucker? It's going to sound like you stepped on a goat's foot with cleats. It's going to be awesome, man. That's going to be David versus Goliath. That could happen at Crown Jewel. We may get Gunther versus Rey Mysterio at Crown Jewel. That's not out of the question. Now, obviously, in storyline, the Judgment Day is ecstatic because Rey Mysterio is no longer on Raw. Rey Mysterio, not only given that shot yesterday in the four-way, Rey Mysterio is now officially a SmackDown wrestler. He's no longer on Raw, which means Dominic versus Rey, if it happens, probably won't happen until WrestleMania. Okay. I mean, we all expect at some point Rey versus Dominic's got to happen. It's got to happen. But it's not happening right now. Rey Mysterio is not going to quit. He will be a SmackDown wrestler. And if you see how the rosters show up on brands, what's stopping Dominic from showing up on SmackDown to beat up on his father, right? It's not happening anytime soon, everyone. All right, yesterday, I was kind of surprised at this. I was actually very surprised at this. Yesterday, we had Legado del Fantasma wrestle and defeat Hit Row. Okay? That was an interesting feud in NXT that went quite a long time. You would think, now I'm not trying to compare it to like Rey Mysterio versus Juventud Guerrera, or Eddie Guerrero versus Dean Malenko. We had those matches in ECW. And then when they went to WCW just did it again. And even when they ended up together in WWE, they did the matches again. So, when Hit Row was attacked by Legado last week and Legado returns, you think that this would be kind of like weeks building up. We get the match yesterday. And I was very, very, and Legado beat them in a couple of minutes. Wasn't that long at all. So, I'm wondering, I don't know what changed in the mind of WWE with that feud, but man, talk about a blow off. And I was very surprised at the lack of attention that got online yesterday, because I expected a lot of people to be like, whoa, it's kind of like blowing it off super, super fast. So, all right, couple other things. As you see, we're on SmackDown. We're not going to do a really long show today. I actually have a kind of hectic day lined up. I'm taking my wife to have a wedding dress repurposed. And basically they put, they clean it, prepare it to be stored forever. So when my wife becomes 75 years old, she put it on and look in the mirror. Meanwhile, the tits that were up here are probably like down here, and, she'll probably still look beautiful. So we had a couple other things go down yesterday on SmackDown. LA Knight taking on Mansoor. Mansoor beat him in less than 3 minutes. I don't know where this goes with the Maximum Male Models. But what was interesting about yesterday was after LA Knight wins, got a great pop from the crowd. He's like, let me talk to you. And he then disses the fans. I don't need a bunch of swamped up incels chanting my name. He puts the entire WWE roster on notice, gives me a little bit of Steve Austin 1996 vibes, 96 vibes. People have said LA Knight sounds like Steve Austin sometimes. But I remember Steve Austin back in the mid-90s where he would say, that I'm putting that entire roster on notice. So LA Knight, he's back, but not a fan favorite either. I think the crowd is still going to cheer for him no matter what. And don't forget, we're going to do that giveaway soon. We got some pretty cool shit here. We got actually an autograph, Max Dupree, and I don't know where the LA Knight card is. It's somewhere around here. We actually have, here it is. LA Knight, autographed by LA Knight. Soon, someone will win both. So you'll have a piece of history. You'll have a very, very rare autograph photo of Max Dupree and the first ever LA Knight autograph. So, yeah, I can't do it. All right. Yesterday also, we started the build. Roxanne Perez showing up on SmackDown, picking her partner who will wrestle on NXT this Tuesday, going up against AEW and Chris Jericho defending the Ring of Honor Championship. Oh, yes. Wait till we tell you who he's going to face. That's going to not kill the ratings. You know what I would do if I was WWE? When Jericho has his match on AEW Dynamite, I would seriously bring out Quincy Elliott. I'm not even joking. I'd have Quincy Elliott maybe do a little bit of a dance, and I'm serious. That's what I would do. That's what I would do. Oh, I can't wait to see Dalton Castle versus Chris Jericho. Oh, I can't wait. Seriously, I want to see those quarter-hour ratings. Look, I want both ratings to be high. I want to see as many wrestling fans having fun as possible. But seriously, Dalton Castle, this is fulfilling more Ring of Honor fantasies for Tony Khan. But yesterday on SmackDown, Roxanne Perez shows up, and she's going to pick her choice to wrestle Cora Jade's choice on NXT. Cora Jade will select her choice on Raw this Monday. And if you remember our discussion Wednesday, after we pushed around the ideas of Shotzi Blackheart and a few others, we settled with Raquel Rodriguez. Remember, the Latinas. We chiquitas. We stick together. And yes, Raquel Rodriguez will be the one wrestling on behalf of Cora Jade. On behalf of Roxanne Perez, who Cora Jade selects, we don't know yet, but our choice ended up being Dakota Kai. So we will see if it ends up being Dakota Kai or not. Much love for everyone out there who was insistent that it was going to be Natalya, but that made no sense when you really think about it. Hey, at least it's not going to be Maria Kanellis. At least it's not going to be Maria Kanellis. And that's not throwing shade on Maria Kanellis. I am a fan. But, oh, yeah, Maria Kanellis actually appeared on television yesterday. Not for News 12, not for a home shopping network, no, for a wrestling show. I will tell you what happened in a little bit. So, yesterday, we end up when Roxanne Perez is talking to Shotzi and talking to Raquel, we get Damage Control show up. Damage Control taking some jokes at Roxanne Perez and her height and other things. And this leads to a 6-woman tag team match, and Damage Control gets the win over Roxanne Perez, Shotzi, and Raquel Rodriguez. If you go back and you look at it, you know, Roxanne Perez put in a great effort. I thought the ending of the match was kind of because, you know, I guess maybe like Roxanne Perez was supposed to attempt the fruit roll-up and Bayley reversed it, did it herself. But I think Roxanne Perez, because she's so small, I don't know what happened, but there was like, so you go look at the end. But what was priceless was after they lost, and look at Raquel Rodriguez's face. Seriously. She had the look on her face like if you have like a grandparent over your house and, you know, your grandparents old and you're so happy to see them and you're like sitting on the couch with them watching TV and you're reminiscing about years past. And then you realize that grandma or grandpa wears Depends and they just shit their pants and you're sitting there and you're smelling it and you're like, she had that look on her face for about 45 seconds. It's like they crazy glued it. All right. She was like this. It was, I couldn't stop laughing when I saw it. So, but hey, Roxanne Perez got the loss yesterday on SmackDown, but she got experience. The crowd loved her. She did a decent job. Cannot complain about that match at all yesterday. So, what are we leaving out here? Are we leaving anything out here? Hold on, let me see. Oh yeah, two things. First of all, the Viking Raiders. We got another vignette yesterday. Sarah Logan is returning, and that's gonna be cool, man. I'm almost feeling like maybe WWE's thinking that the Viking Raiders are gonna go after Hit Row. And they decided against Legato having this long this long feud. I'm wondering if we're going to see Hit Row feud with the Viking Raiders. Do not discount that possibility. Street Profits right now, we don't know if Montez Ford is legitimately injured, but they're not in the mix right now at all. So, remember, we all thought that Street Profits was going to feud with Maximum Male Models, then Los Ladarios, maybe even Legato, but nothing right now. Ratings breakdown, there's really nothing to break down as far as ratings. If you're talking about AEW Dynamite doing a little bit under 1 million viewers, we'll talk about AEW after. Let's finish up WWE over here. So what I did want to talk about was Sami Zayn, Kofi Kingston, Jey Uso. Yesterday, I thought Jey Uso and Sami Zayn probably gelled the best that they have up to now. But, Sami Zayn, I think the problem, WWE's got to avoid this. Sami Zayn's getting a little too cocky with his power. And that's not what the fans fell in love with. They fell in love with naive. It's almost like the opposite. It's almost like the opposite of what was happening with Riddle. Riddle was being so naive that it kind of annoyed us. We wanted Randy Orton to come out RKO his fucking ass. Sami Zayn being a little bit naive, maybe getting taken advantage of a little bit, thinking that he's truly an oos, and he's doing the hand slaps and he's dancing and he's talking, my dog. You the two, you're the ultimate two, we the ones. So that's what the fans clicked with. Sami Zayn getting overly cocky, I think that could backfire a little bit. So yesterday, we know that Sami Zayn is going to be taking on Kofi Kingston. And you got Solo Sikoa there, you got Jey Uso there. Roman Reigns calls Sami Zayn on the phone, and Jey Uso a little bit jealous. But when they had the match, they went about 15 minutes. Sami Zayn and Kofi really, really gel good together. But you have Xavier Woods outside the ring. He gets super kicked for his troubles. He gets knocked out pretty early. And towards the end of the match, Kofi was going to fruit roll up Sami Zayn. And I'm telling you, this was smooth as silk. Sami and Kofi were right near the ropes. And just when you thought that Kofi was going to fruit roll up Sami, here's Jey Uso with a little bit of outside interference, and the momentum flips Sami over Kofi and gets the win. But, afterwards, Sami acting like, no, I won this all myself. You didn't do anything. I don't know. I love Sami Zayn right now. He is probably the MVP. It's funny, though? I shouldn't even say that because Jey Uso is on fire with this. You look at his facial reactions. You truthfully feel that Jey Uso despises this man. I think the Logan Paul provocation last week that Jey Uso's trying to be the tribal chief, I think that was forced. It didn't make sense, as we talked about. Yesterday was kind of a little bit reversed, in my opinion. Sami Zayn, not having to wrestle that often. We've gotten 2 matches in 2 weeks, but, there were some points where Sami didn't wrestle for a whole month, and nobody seemed to complain at all about it. So, but Sami Zayn beating Kofi yesterday. And I should point out also that when LA Knight beat Mansoor, it was only 2.5 minutes, under 3 minutes. So we had some very, very fast matches yesterday. Very fast matches. So next week on SmackDown, you got Logan Paul returning. You have Damage Control versus Raquel Rodriguez and Shotzi for the women's tag team titles. We have Liv Morgan taking on Sonya Deville. Now remember, Sonya Deville is also going to be wrestling on NXT, and probably in a losing effort. But will they sell or incorporate what Liv did to her on SmackDown, bleed that into NXT? Maybe Sonya Deville's not 100%. Maybe that's why she ends up getting the loss. I don't think Liv Morgan will show up on NXT, but hey, we will know by Monday pretty much, most of the surprises. We won't know who Cameron Grimes' picks are. We won't know who Tony D'Angelo's pick is, but if you tune in Wednesday, we came up with some good ones, and we may end up being 100% on all of them. So especially the Tony D'Angelo one, if they do that. And I think, if you think about it, it could very well happen. Giving a couple of dollars to MVP and having Omos beat the balls off of Stacks, I think that could happen, everyone. I think it could happen. So, yesterday for AEW, we had this lineup: Jon Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli over the Butcher and the Blade. Gee, if you thought the Butcher and the Blade had any chance, I think that's one of the problems with Rampage, especially. Most of these matches are very, very predictable. I think the only match that might not have been easy to predict was Ethan Page versus Isaiah Cassidy. The problem is, does anybody really care that the firm owned the contracts of like Matt Hardy and Private Party? I mean, I don't know. The storyline itself. Speaking of storylines, and I'm going to show you something about that picture. I don't know if you all picked up on it. Actually, I'll leave the picture on the screen when I bring up the stipulation. Tell me if you notice something about this picture that stands out to you, other than the beauty of the bunny to some of you. But anything, do you notice anything unique about this picture? I want to see if anybody could pick up on it. But they're going to do a storyline, a stipulation next week, everyone. Check this out. First of all, Stu Grayson returned to AEW. He showed up in a backstage segment with the Dark Order. But before he made his return, the Dark Order were confronted by Jose the Assistant and Roosh. And, the Dark Order don't want to be bothered with the Latinos anymore. Please, leave us alone. Leave us alone. Leave me alone. So they're going to do a match next week, everyone. Roosh versus 10. And if 10 wins, then Roosh and Jose the Assistant, if Andrade ever returns, they must leave the Dark Order alone. And just let that sink in for a minute. They're actually doing a match that if I win, you leave us alone. Unbelievable. That's awesome, Sander. Anybody out there that's from New York, if 10 had like a twin brother and they wrestled the tag team and they won, you could actually put 10-10 wins. That's a radio station here. 10-10 wins. I like that. Very, very creative. All right. You notice something interesting about this photo? All of the wrestlers are looking at each other, and the managers are the only ones looking at us, facing the camera. Look at Vicky Guerrero. Look at Stokely Hathaway. Look at Prince Nana. Na-na-na-na-na-na. Na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. You notice that? Just figured, hey, I try to see things that other people don't. So, yeah, look. All the managers are looking straight. All the wrestlers are looking the other way. Even the bunny. I forgot the bunny. The bunny looking straight as well. Everybody's like looking at each other and they're like, yeah, I'm going to beat your ass. Yeah, I'm going to beat your ass. And all the Valley's like, no, look at me. Look at me. Guys, don't forget, Podcast Forbidden Door, November 3rd, Thursday night, 8:05 p.m. Myself, JD from New York. We will be butting heads. You can submit a question over on the community section here on YouTube. There's a thread up right now, or you could click the link that's in the synopsis section of tonight's episode. And, I got to be honest with you. There's like only 2 questions so far that we were like, yeah, we got to talk about that. You know, when you post a question, you know, post something that you think majority of the viewers and listeners would want to hear us go at it, or post a question you think that we would battle it out. I think the Triple H stuff is great. 2.0, we don't mean the tag team, you know, is great, but, you know, some of the other ones, I just, you know, like it's like a new, you're not, we're asking for questions that we could discuss, not like news, you know, so send something, damn it. So, yesterday on Rampage, the match results, Moxley and Castagnoli over the Butcher and the Blade, Nyla Rose over Anna Jay. Nyla Rose still with the stolen TBS championship. Jade Cargill tried to get it back yesterday, but Nyla Rose was able to escape. You had Ethan Page beating Isaiah Cassidy, as we said for the contracts earlier. The main event, FTR and Shawn Spears wrestling a Ring of Honor match versus they defeated Brian Cage in the Gates of Agony. After the match was over, Maria Kanellis Bennett, she hits the ring. She comes out, and she's with Mike Bennett, Matt Taven. She calls herself the First Lady of Professional Wrestling. She said New Japan and Ring of Honor titles belong to them first. FTR never faced them. I don't remember. It was Dax that said that the team of Taven and Bennett is like the FTR on Wish. I thought that was kind of funny because we've been having those jokes about, you know, the stuff with Wish. Anyway, the bottom line is they want to challenge FTR for some belts. And while this is going down, we get the Kingdom in the ring. They get in the ring, confront the FTR, Shawn Spears. And then you have the other wrestlers, Bishop Khan, Brian Cage, Toa Leona. They're hitting the ring. So now we think we're going to get like a 5-on-3 beatdown. Samoa Joe coming out there wearing khakis and a button-down shirt. Wardlow still in his outfit. They got to hold their titles. You know, when anybody comes out to make the save, you got to have your title in your hand. They clear the ring. Everybody gets out of Dodge. No one has the balls to fight them. And as we said before, you know, and it seems AEW is leaning more and more. Down the line, you're going to have Wardlow versus Samoa Joe. They are going to have a match, just like they're now proceeding with the split with Swerve Strickland and Keith Lee. Now Keith Lee, after all these fucking weeks, now Keith Lee's like, I don't like that you have to cheat to win. You don't I cheat to win. How many weeks ago was all this shit? Last week he beat Billy Gunn and he held the ropes. I don't think that's appropriate. Oh, man. War Joe. Not say it Ward Joe. War Joe. So that was your episode of Rampage yesterday. Dynamite doing under $1 million. What did they do? Like 983? Anybody have the exact number? I think it was 983. Well, that's what you get when you put Isaiah, the wrong Cassidy, Orange Cassidy. Yeah, did you see in the results? I put Paige versus Cassidy. They got how many Pages in that company? You got multiple Cassidys in that company. You got to start tweaking some names. You put Paige versus Cassidy. Some people are like, oh my God, Hangman Page for Orange Cassidy? No, the other Paige took on the other Cassidy. But, you know, you put Orange Cassidy versus Pac in the main event. I know AEW fans love Orange Cassidy, but you're not going to expect, you know, a lot of casual viewers that maybe are not that into this guy. Plus, with all due respect, when you have 95 championships, you know, even if they trade hands, doesn't feel important. Orange Cassidy winning that belt. All right, his first championship win in AEW. That's a big deal. But I don't give a fuck about the All-Atlantic Championship. You know, plus that was so predictable. It's like the matches on Rampage. 90% of the matches are always predictable. You know what the outcomes are. Not going to get any major upsets. So you close out with Pac versus Orange Cassidy. Almost everybody and their mother like, wow, they're going to have Orange Cassidy close out the show. He must be winning. Give that special moment to AEW fans, that feel-good moment, just like Daniel Garcia closing out Dynamite, you know, in his hometown. Gee, I wonder what the fuck's going to happen there. Because Tony Khan's not Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon likes to have people lose in their hometowns. You'd be shocked how many people who wrestle in their hometowns lose. For every time somebody won in their hometown, you'd have 10 times where other people would lose. Tony Khan, though, no, it's got to be the feel-good kumbaya moment. Special people singing, rapping. I still, to this day, never knew. I never knew up until last week that the person that sings Bryan Danielson's music was a guy. I always thought it was a girl. I don't know who the fuck the guy is. I'm sorry. He's talented. But, you know, I forgot to mention, I saw him come out, sing the song. I'm like, is this like putting on the hits? Is he lip singing? I'm like, wait a minute. It's a guy. I thought it was a girl that sung this song. I'm not kidding, to be honest. But them doing under $1 million, this is their ceiling, everyone. This is their ceiling. Now you got Maria Kanellis, Matt Taven, and Mike Bennett in AEW. Where are they going to fit? I'm still waiting for the former member of Tony D'Angelo's group. What, Two Dimes? Was it Cole Carter? You remember those 2 weeks that he was on TV? You know, and then he disappeared. He disappeared. Oh, but he's on Elevation. He's on Dark. They don't even have time to fit Athena now after all of this. So we have some injury updates, and unfortunately, some of them are very concerning, everyone. One, though, I think you'll be very happy. I do have a picture I want to share with all of you. Where's the picture? This was Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch at the Bears football game last week. As you could see, Becky Lynch no longer wearing a brace, and everybody that is, you know, directly related to the situation. I did not ask anybody I know. This is from other sources. Everybody is reporting that Becky Lynch's recovery is doing excellent, and Becky Lynch is going to be returning sooner than people think. Becky Lynch right now is teasing everyone that she'll be back in time for WrestleMania. Believe me when I tell you, she is going to be returning much sooner than that. Could she return in time for Survivor Series? Yeah, I think that is very possible. I don't know, you know, unless if one of the women's teams teases one mystery person, you know, and I guarantee there's going to be a lot of people that are going to say Sasha or Naomi. But if they tease like one mystery person that is going to appear on the show, that could end up being Becky Lynch. It is very possible. But the good news is she is doing very well right now. Ruby Soho is also recovering from the nose surgery that she had. She had a lot of obstruction. She broke her nose. She had a very, very difficult time breathing. I don't know how damaged her septum was, but she is now only able to breathe, you know, pretty decent. As far as Ruby Soho returning, your likelihood is November. I mean, we're already in the middle of October, but, you know, next few weeks, she should be able to return. She may be able to return with a mask. It's not necessarily the break, it's the breathing is what they're concerned about. Aliyah is also on the road to recovery, and her injury is not serious. I mean, they really haven't disclosed publicly what exactly her injury was. Maybe they have, but I haven't seen it. But I do know that it's nothing serious. She'll be back very, very soon. The two people you have to be concerned about more than anything right now is Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly. Somebody sent me these photos that I didn't even know. Kyle O'Reilly may have had some type of neck fusion surgery. I'm not sure about that because, if you look closely at the middle photo, I don't think, that looks like fusion surgery. I'm sure that they did something with, his neck, maybe cleaned it out, maybe something, but if he had his neck fused, that guy's in-ring career is not, continuing anytime soon. Anytime soon. I mean, look, he seems to be in good spirits, cracking some jokes, as you could see. You see on the right, that's a forward fusion. He put neck fusion, neck surge. So he seems to be in good spirits, but I don't think Kyle O'Reilly, you want him to return as a singles wrestler. I think they would love to have him back with Adam Cole, but look, Adam Cole, man, it's serious. It's very serious. They brought him out on TV that one time to give the sense like, hey, I'm okay. I'm okay. And I think that was more emotionally than anything else. But, his concussion, you go back to Forbidden Door, and it's kind of wild when you watch that and you say, wow, that could end up being career ending. I mean, right now, he works out very, very lightly, but, the post-concussion syndrome, I mean, you see what happened with Bret Hart, with Goldberg. I mean, that was a mule kick, and that shit fucking felt like, that was like getting hit with a ton of bricks. But Adam Cole, man, I don't think anybody and their mother would have ever thought that what happened that night was so serious that it could cost him his career. There is no updates right now with Adam Cole. You know what that tells me? Once this starts to circulate, we'll probably see Adam Cole make an appearance again. We'll probably see him make an appearance again. Problem is, who's he going to appear with? Other than Britt Baker, who's he going to appear with? The Young Bucks and Kenny Omega are not back yet. Outside of that, who are you going to put? So, Adam Cole, we definitely pray for him and hope that he can get back to the ring. But man, that's just awful. And I've said this before. I know a lot of people comment about Adam Cole's weight, how small he is, but I don't think that would have made a difference. I don't think that would have made a difference. The way he got hit, I don't think it would have made a difference. So, him with Hangman Page makes no sense at all. They were feuding, and even if they did like realign for what? Adam Cole's not returning as a manager or anything. If he came out just for a segment, there's nobody for him to be around. There's nobody that even attack for him that would make sense. But as far as them getting the 983 in the ratings, under 1 million, the problem is their ceiling is right around 1 million. It's right around 1 million. You get some moments where they'll go 1.1 million, but on average, I think 1 million is about their ceiling. And I don't know how you break through to that. I don't know how you break through. Maybe that ends up being a discussion that JD and I have on that Forbidden Door episode. Like, what would we suggest AEW does? Me personally, the one thing I would do right off the bat, stop this Ring of Honor stuff. Stop this Ring of Honor stuff. People aren't stupid. They know that promotion is on hiatus. He just, his love for Ring of Honor, that's great and everything. I love ECW. Do I even need to prove that? I love ECW. If I had WWE TV and I started putting ECW out there now, and start bringing out some of the older wrestlers who could still go a little bit and have those titles defended and water it down. But meanwhile, people get like, no, I'm watching AEW to watch AEW. I don't give a shit about New Japan. I don't give a shit about AAA. I don't give a shit about Ring of Honor. I want to see AEW. The problem also is, and I think this is obvious, we're not stupid. I pointed out FTR. They have not had an AEW match under their tag team, FTR, 2-on-2. They have not had an AEW match since April 1st. It's hidden as a Ring of Honor match, as a trios match, as this. But why is that? Why is that they can hold all these other titles and AEW will boast and brag about these other championships, but they can't give them their own? Why is it that the Acclaimed, who are the tag team champions, don't even get to main event an AEW show? A Ring of Honor match main events an AEW show, which was last week. Why is that? And people are not stupid. When they see that what they're watching is because this is Tony Khan's enjoyment, his fantasy, that this is what he wants, I think people get turned off by that. It doesn't feel like, Triple H, they're going to do what's best for business. They're going to do what's best for the consumer, for the people tuning in. But at the end of the day, they're going to push who they feel should push. They're not going to push everybody that everybody in the internet wrestling community wants to see pushed. As I said before, if Legado showed up on SmackDown and Vince McMahon was still writing creative, you would have saw online petitions for Elektra Lopez to be on TV. Online petitions to get Zelina Vega out of that group. But because it's Triple H that did it, it's hush-hush. It's silence. So, but the reason why it's silence is because people feel that Triple H is giving the fans what we want. It's we. What you see on TV with a lot of AEW feels like I signed this. I booked this. I have nothing against Maria Kanellis, but remember the Motor City Machine Guns? The Motor City Machine Guns fought on pay-per-view. Why? When you have 150 plus people there, why the Motor City? It's not against them. They got a nice payday, got a little exposure. And speaking of Impact Wrestling, because we're almost done here, I got to share something with you. We just hit the anniversary of Tito Ortiz in debuting for Impact Wrestling. Tito Ortiz! Remember that? He came out, folded his arms. Remember his theme music? The theme music was so crystal clear. No fans were reacting. No pop, no anger. Indifference is the worst thing a wrestler can have. Anybody, a performer, indifference. Not inability, because you could click with the fans and suck in the ring, and it doesn't matter. Indifference is the worst thing that you can have in wrestling, because if the crowd doesn't react to what you say or do, you're done. You're fucking done. And that Tito Ortiz, that was the time when I was feuding with Bully Ray. And I still remember, DMing him like, look at this fucking guy's debut. How do you justify the crowd, no reaction whatsoever? Tito Ortiz. And he's got his arms folded and he's looking around. And you could see Mr. Kennedy in the ring and others, and they're looking around like, this motherfucker ain't getting no crowd reaction. What the fuck? It was embarrassing. This week, we got another Tito Ortiz moment in Impact Wrestling. And I got the clip to share with you. Bobby Fish is now the Tito Ortiz of Impact Wrestling. I am nothing against Bobby Fish, although it felt like, who's the guy that, I'm drawing a blank. Who's the guy that was in WWE, that was with The Miz, that was like a college guy that we really thought was going to go far, and he had the problem with John Cena, and he left, and he would always pick fights online calling out John Cena. Who's that guy? Alex Riley. Thank you, Devin and Xander. Alex Riley. Do you remember when Alex Riley, for years, Alex Riley would just do interviews and just call out John Cena? And it was like, shut up. Like, that's the only way he could get attention. I thought that Bobby Fish was doing that towards CM Punk. You saw it recently. It's like, just shut the fuck up. Well, now I think it's haunting Bobby Fish, because you realize, like, WWE has not brought back Bobby Fish. All right. Yes, Adam Cole, unfortunately, we know his situation. Kyle O'Reilly as well. Roddy is there. Roddy is there. We'll see what happens with Roddy on Halloween Havoc. But, Bobby Fish, they have not brought back. And I think it's safe to say of the Undisputed Era or even the Undisputed Elite, Bobby Fish, although talented, I think he forgets how old he is. And he could still be in physical great shape. But you remember we saw him in that car about a month ago, and his head was all gray. He no longer had the handlebar mustache. It's almost like he went through some emotional phase where he removed a lot of, and then Impact Wrestling called. So he gets to Just for Men, and he dyes his hair and his mustache a little bit, but there's no, handlebar. Like a lot of his look, it just looked like he just went to Walgreens and dyed his hair and he showed up in Impact. He cut a promo. I can't make this up. He cut a promo on Bully Ray this past week. And look, let me make this clear. Disclaimer. I am a fan of Impact Wrestling. I want to see them succeed. 89,000 viewers is beyond awful. Women of Wrestling is tripling their viewership. And you have people on there called the bodega clerk, the Hooters girl, Lisa Smith, like 90% of the women, you don't even know. But AJ is there, and then you see the wrestlers in Impact, and you're like, how do they not get even 200,000 viewers? I personally think Impact Wrestling is just dying a very slow death. I don't want it to shut down because at least some wrestlers will be able to work, somewhere. Working somewhere is better than working nowhere, but it's dying a slow death. I don't know what you could possibly do to turn that around. But I want to share with you 5 seconds of Bobby Fish cutting a promo on Impact this week. And I want you to check out the crowd reaction. Indifference is the worst thing that you can have in wrestling. Listen closely and look closely. Look at the fans when Bobby Fish enters the ring. This is probably one of the worst moments I have ever seen in wrestling as far as indifference. This is not like Bray Wyatt cutting a promo like yesterday, or John Moxley coming back from rehab and giving his emotional speech where everybody is silent and listening to every little thing. This is not that case. Look at this.
And I mean, folks, where's the lie?
Oh my God. Look, watch. One person. Let's look at it one more time. Bully Ray is even looking like, oh my God, this is Tito Ortiz all over again. Just listen to this. Look, where's the lie? Where's the beef?
And I mean, folks, where's the lie?
Oh my God. That is awful. Bobby Fish, man, seriously. When he went to Impact, I said, okay, he's a big fish in a little pond. That motherfucker is like a minnow in a little pond. You can't even get 3 rows of fans to get it. Oh, that's awful. Now, if he said, I have cancer, and everybody was just like, or I'm pregnant, or, something like, I have to retire. That's one. Where's the lie? Where's the lie? It's like, where's the beef? Where's the lie? Oh, God. He thought he had the gotcha moment with Bully Ray. Guys, gals, where's the lie? Oh, that's all. I'm telling you, guys, indifference is the worst thing that you can have in pro wrestling. That is probably I don't think there's any worse, because your whole aspect is being an entertainer. entertaining that crowd. Maybe they don't pay to see you, but you and 20 other people put together make it a fun night where everybody goes out. When you're in that high profile position and there's utter silence, and it's not even like something so powerful that people are just shocked and speechless. Where is the lie? That's awful. He's done. Before we go off the air, there's a great interview that Paige did with Chris Jericho, Talk is Jericho. I credit this to Fightful because Fightful actually took some bullet points from the interview and add a little bit of tidbits to it. And I think this is a big deal. I really do. Fightful reports, and this has been pretty much confirmed, that Vince McMahon and John Laurinaitis were the ones who decided not to renew Paige's contract in July. This was not Paige deciding to move on and not, accept the renewal. She said that the money that she made on her contract was surprisingly low, and her outside ventures were limited a little bit. She also mentioned that WWE, Vince's representative told Paige one time that they wanted a cut of her Twitch revenue. I don't know if she actually revealed if she had to or not, but she told them, I'm not ending my Twitch stream. But here's something that I think is really, really important, because it's not just that it confirms what you and I talked about for the last 2 weeks, but it goes to show you, like how strict WWE has become, maybe to a paranoia level. She said 1 month after her contract expired, Triple H, Stephanie McMahon, the new regime now, they offered her a role as a GM on TV. So again, that's very interesting. Remember I said earlier with Triple H, keep the GM thought in the back of your mind? Triple H is not playing a GM, and he's just making sporadic appearances when needed for an authority role on TV. But as of right now, WWE is not looking to have GMs on TV, other than Adam Pearce, obviously, and he's not even a GM character, but they actually offered that role for her. They also, very interesting, told her that if she wanted to return to in-ring competition, that they would make it happen. But as you go on and you listen to what she's saying, there was a lot of mixed messages from WWE. WWE never cleared her. She got cleared from multiple doctors. WWE did not clear her. So would this been another case of promises made, promises not kept? Because Saraya was offered a WWE deal, and she decided to go to AEW anyway because she felt she was getting mixed messages. And I got news for you. I think that is 1,000% true, because we think back at the Daniel Bryan injury. Look, when Daniel Bryan was forced to retire, his injuries were severe and legit. As he was healing, forget about what he was doing to heal, but as Bryan Danielson was healing, he was going to doctors, and doctors were telling him, you should be good to go. And yet WWE, no. They wouldn't clear him. Then they finally cleared him. And even when they cleared him, if you remember those first couple of matches, we were kind of on edge, afraid, get one wrong kick to the head. This guy might be, for real. I'm not saying be funny, but how nervous were we? And then you realize afterwards that, like, to pass WWE protocol, it's almost like you have to have the brain of an infant, or maybe the brain of a teenager. Like, if you show any sign at all, I personally will reiterate what I said last week and the week before. Nothing against Saraya. Nothing against Paige. I know it's the same person. Nothing against some women that are not in WWE. But you go back and you watch that match with Bayley and Bianca Belair, and yes, it's Extreme Rules. It doesn't happen every week. You look at the in-ring work of some of these women. I'm not talking about the Dana Brooks, and I'm not talking about the Aliyahs, because Aliyah is still very, very new. I'm talking about your top-of-the-line talents. Charlotte Flair, Sasha Banks, Bayley, Bianca Belair, and you go down the list. Can Paige, Saraya, go toe-to-toe with them in 2022? Does it have to be more gaga, and ground moves and just, my house, this is my house, my host. I think, and I'm not criticizing her. I said for the last couple of weeks, Saraya is cleared. Just because news sites are not reporting, she's cleared. She's cleared. But in WWE's eyes, I don't think WWE thinks Saraya can hang and stay on that level with those other wrestlers. And if she can't, then how do you use her? Well, you put her as a GM, maybe you have her manage, things like that. So, that's something to think about. Now, once Saraya does return to the ring, and if she can hang and really go, and I mean really go, then that might increase the chance that maybe she can return to WWE one day and actually wrestle. Maybe once Charlotte and Asuka and Bayley and others get older and their career starts pulling back a little bit, then maybe that's the time for Saraya to return as Paige. But right now, those women, I don't know if we have no proof that she can go at that level. And it's pretty obvious that WWE is not confident. They were not confident that Saraya could be on the level of those women. And that's got to be crushing for Saraya. She's only 30 years old. She still has, a career ahead of her. But, to be in this promotion and after all of this and working hard to return and having doctors tell you that you can return and, the company that you want to stay with is giving you very, very mixed messages, that's got to be hard. It's got to be hard. So, all right. So with that said, we're going to jet out of here right at 90 minutes, which is fine. If you're around Sunday night, 8:05 p.m. Eastern, the sit down with yours truly will return. I did get a haircut yesterday, everybody, but tomorrow the hat will return. I will show up with a blank piece of paper, whatever you all want to talk about. I will be here, 8:05 p.m. Before we go, I have to give a very special shout out to Chris Cutrer, because he was very, very kind to send me lunch money, 20 spot. He says, and I quote, if they could put together a good mix of dark and spooky Bray, along with the genuine Wyndham we saw last night that fans can relate to and see as more real, they have the next level megastar WWE needs for the future. I agree with you. The only thing is, though, is at some point you have to really back it up in the ring. And, I think you go up against a Cody Rhodes, you go up against a Rollins, actually, let me say it like this. For everybody in the chat room, forget feuds, because we go from John Cena, others. Are there any matches that come to mind that you think of where inside the ring, forget psychology, inside the ring, you thought the match was great as far as Bray Wyatt goes? And I really can't think of any right now. I mean, I know he had some decent bouts with Randy Orton, but there's no match that I could go to and say, oh, yeah, you remember this match on... See, even when Sheamus You could say Drew McIntyre. You could say Gunther. You could say Jeff Hardy. You could say this person. You could start throwing matches out there like this. When it comes to Bray Wyatt inside the ring, no, even the matches with Daniel Bryan. No, I'm not. I'm talking about a particular match, not a foe. Not a foe. Is there any particular match? No one's going to, I remember WrestleMania, blah, 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 blah. And he fought this person. There is no individual match where somebody says, yeah, man, oh, man, that match he had at Hell in a Cell or the Royal Rumble or this, but you have to think. You have to really think about it. That's telling. So if he goes up against Roman Reigns, All right, someone is bringing up 2014 Royal Rumble. I hate doing this, but I got to do it anyway. I'm going to pull up Dave Meltzer's match ratings for the Royal Rumble 2014. He gave, you know what? He gave Bray Wyatt and Daniel Bryan 4 stars. Okay. All right. That's a good one. All right. I'll give you that one. But my point is, there's not many that you could go. There's no go-tos. And the thing is, this character, I'm loving it. See, me, remember Johnny Knoxville versus Sami Zayn, WrestleMania? That was one of my favorite matches. And it was goofy. And it was comedy. And it was ridiculous, stupid violence at times. But it entertained the fuck out of me. And what I've always said is, look, it's like going to a buffet bar. I'm not going to have just one piece of filet mignon or a lobster tail and I'm good. No, give me a bunch of all different things. And at the end of the night, I'm like, oh, that was awesome. That was incredible. You don't have to kill it in the ring. But as far as Bray Wyatt goes, understand Roman Reigns has upped the ante as far as championship caliber, championship material, having a title run. Seth Rollins has upped his game. Cody Rhodes, although injured, has upped his game tremendously. I don't know how much Bray Wyatt has upped his in-ring game since the 2014 Royal Rumble, which was 8 years ago, almost 9 years ago. So the thing is that if you look at pro wrestling 9 years ago to now, who were the ones that were really, really showcasing it in the ring? Not as many as you think. And if you look at a lot of the wrestlers today, Moxley, Roman, Seth, the Shield, Cody, you look at other wrestlers, Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley now is 10 times better than he was in Impact Wrestling. And he did great in Impact Wrestling. Drew McIntyre. You could just go Sami Zayn. The Usos have upped their game. The New Day, Xavier Woods, 10 times better than he was 5 years ago. Over the last bunch of years, a lot of wrestlers have upped their game to a whole different level. We have to see if Bray Wyatt does the same. Because this fighting with yourself, with your inner demons, could only go so long. Because after a while, people are going to be like, okay, when is he going for a title? When is he going to feud with some? We watch wrestling to see this person feud with this person. This person turn on this person. This person join this person. These two people beat the fuck out of these two people. We can see this person fighting with themselves. But at some point, it's got to be more than that. So right now, he's only back 1 week. So let's keep that in perspective. Let's see what happens over the next 3 months. I think 3 months is very fair. Understand he has not been on TV for well over a year. So, that's got to get some adjusting as well. So I say 3 months is very fair to look back and say, okay, where are we with Bray Wyatt 3 months from now? Are we going to see a progression? Are we going to see something developing and going to a different level? Or is it just feels like this is a very drawn out, scenic route, storyline, So we'll see what happens. But very good points, Chris. Very good points. Much love. And I say to all of you, much love as always. If you enjoyed tonight's show, take a moment, smash that like button. It really does help. The more some of you do that, that sends a message to YouTube that, hey, this is a pretty good episode. Let me recommend it to others. If you're around Sunday night at 8:05 p.m., join me right here for the sit down. For me right now, I am going to put the show online and spend my Saturday afternoon with my better half. So I hope everybody has a great weekend. Wherever you live, much love. Stay safe as always. And I hope to see you all tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, sit back, think about whatever you want to talk about. It doesn't have to be wrestling. You want to talk more Bray, by all means. You set the stage tomorrow as far as what is discussed. And believe me, I tell you, a lot of people who tune into the show after hours, I can tell you that most of the feedback I get is extremely positive. They love, everyone who tunes in live, they love your choice of topics of discussion. So if some of you out there have never experienced it live and you want to be part of the conversation, join me tomorrow night, 8:05 p.m. Be well, everyone. Stay safe. I'll talk to you soon.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a podcaster. For me to live any other way was nuts. To me, those goody-good people who worked shitty jobs for bum paychecks and took the subway to work every day and worried about their bills were dead. I mean, they were suckers. They had no balls. If I wanted something, I just took it. I ran everything. I paid the bills. I paid the host. I even paid the masked maniac. Everybody had their hands out. Everything was for the taking. We always called each other good fellas. You would always hear from somebody. You're gonna like Don Tony. He's alright. He's a good fella. He's one of us. But if you're part of my crew, nobody ever tells you they're gonna get rid of you. It doesn't happen that way. There weren't any arguments or curses like in the movies. See, your haters come with smiles. They come as your friends, the people who've claimed they care the most for your life. And now that's all over. And that's the best part. Today everything is different. There's lots of action. I don't have to wait around for everything like everyone else. Oh, I didn't get the vaccine? Fuck you, vaccine me. Oh, your delivery guy has COVID? Fuck you, feed me. Right after I moved here, I ordered egg noodles and ketchup, and I got spaghetti with meat sauce. I'm no longer an average nobody, while they get to live the rest of their lives like a bunch of schnooks.